Hey, everybody, and we are live on a Thursday afternoon office hours. I'm doing this one sandwiched in between a Mastering LinkedIn webinar from 11 to 1 and a Navy Admiral Marine Corps General Transition course from 3 to 5. So forgive me in advance if I'm a little all over the place. Too many events brings me that way. But I've got some great stuff to share with you today. So I'm excited about today's session, which is also brought to you by Veteran Service Brands. Our partners at Veteran Service Brands have some incredible franchise opportunities, all run by veterans. So the great thing about Veteran Service Brands, they are all run by veterans, and they have some great opportunities with their G-Force brands, which is parking lot striping, which sounds kind of strange, but they have to be redone every few years. So there's always work, and who wouldn't hire a veteran over comparable non-veteran service? Then they've got Paint Corps, which does commercial and residential painting. Again, stuff that has to be done every few years. They've got Field Ops, athletic field marking, which every time it rains is going to take away, or when they play games. And then they've got Mach 1 epoxy floors as well. Great services all around. I've spent the better part of 2 weeks with their entire team at their annual conference over the last few years and just have been blown away. So I would check them out. If you're in need of any of those services, go to Veteran Service Brands and check them out. And if you're a transitioning service member or a veteran considering owning a business, I would check them out as well. You can go to Veteran Service Brands. You can Google them and find them right there. We also have opportunities at the Hire Military website right there. So keep that in mind. Tonight is also a big day for my Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Pick number 32, 8 picks in this year's draft, 12 picks in next year's draft. So let me know if you're rooting for the Eagles tonight at the NFL draft to once again, after Jalen Carter and Quinn Mitchell get the steal of the draft. I'm assuming some Dallas fans will think otherwise. All right. So I want to talk about a couple things today. Before I sign off, I will go through an advanced search just to show everyone that tunes in how to search on LinkedIn for people you have something in common with at any company, location, or industry. I've got it set up on a shared screen. But I want to talk about something that really hit home this week for a lot of people. They never really thought about it that way, and that is the PCS cycle. And so what I mean by the PCS cycle is that we get accustomed in the military to PCSing in new jobs, new organizations every 2 to 3 years. For the most part, I did 7 and 9 years over the latter part of my career. But you get accustomed to PCS cycle. You're at a unit for a few years, and then you're getting promoted or you're getting a broadening opportunity of some kind. You're moving off to another unit. And when you get out, it doesn't become readily apparent that you don't have to move, that you can buy a forever home and stay in one spot, and that you could stay in one job, one company for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Like nothing's keeping you from staying. But the PCS clock hits, and suddenly you start thinking you're unhappy, that there's no room for growth, that you don't like the company, that you have to move. And there's nothing wrong with moving for a promotion or something that's going to better align with your 5-year goal. But you don't have to move. And so when I have a lot of veterans reach out and they're like, man, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. You know, I think it's time for you to move. I'm like, how long have you been there? Like 2 years. I'm like, your PCS clock hit. What you need to do is talk to your leadership. I said, have you talked to your manager, your supervisor, or your senior leadership and express that you are unhappy because of these things? Well, no. Have you asked for more opportunities? Have you asked what you have to do to get promoted? Have you networked within the company to find other broadening opportunities? Have you looked to fill gaps so they can move you to a better position? All these things come into play. And at the end of the day, it's on you, right? You have to advocate for yourself. You have to look for opportunities. You have to ask for promotions. You have to own the decision one way or another. And I think that too many service members are used to intrusive leadership, or too many veterans are used to intrusive leadership where you have senior leaders coming down and holding professional development sessions where they tell you what you have to get promoted, where, big Army, big Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force is coming down, Coast Guard is coming down and telling you where you have to move and how your career field manager is going to get you on that pipeline to get promoted. That doesn't happen out here, not often. And so I want you to pay attention to your PCS clock. And if you are becoming unhappy with an employer, analyze if it is because you're used to moving, and then have you addressed it with the employer to look for those opportunities. I spoke to one of our interns yesterday, and they asked for some mentorship, and so of course I'm going to hop on the call. They're an intern at one of our other companies, and they said, well, they don't have access as an intern to certain systems, so they're feeling a little unfulfilled, and they're used to doing so much more. They were a first sergeant, a brigade operations manager, operations NCO. They had a lot of these big tasks, and I said, well, have you told them that you're unfulfilled? He's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, are you networking within the organization? He's like, yeah, I do, battlefield circulation, 30 minutes every day. I go talk and learn about the mission. I'm like, fantastic. Do any of them interest you? He's like, well, yeah, there's one. I really think it's cool. I think it aligns with what I'm doing here. Da, 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 da. Have you asked them if you could go be free chicken for them for a month or two while you're finishing your internship? He's like, no. Have you talked to your boss and asked them if you could go do that? No. So I just, you have to be your own advocate. And that's something I want you all to consider and make sure that it's sometimes it is the company. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just your PCS clock. All right. The next thing is something that's near and dear to my heart. And it's called the smile. The cheesy smile, the regular smile, whatever. I taught a course at the Inter-Americas Defense College, the 51 senior officers from North, Central, and South America over the last couple of days. And it was wonderful talking and engaging with these senior officers. I mean, they were so amazing. It was such a fulfilling experience. And LinkedIn isn't as prevalent in their countries as it is here. But it will get there. And but what I noticed on a lot of their profiles was that they had the mean mug look. They had the sergeant major or first sergeant command photo, like, and I had to tell them, I said, that's not how you look in class. It's not how you look in real life. The key to all of this is the smile. Look, you have to look approachable. And that's the end of this. Like, if we're picking someone to interview, if we're picking someone for a job and you look pissed off or unhappy, you put yourself, in the back there. Like, it's not good. We're picking who we want to be around a lot. And so what I'll tell all of you is that the most important part of your profile is the profile picture. Please take that profile picture seriously. It should be a picture of you, just you, not your family, not your fish, none of that stuff. You, head and shoulders, with dress for the job you want, with something that looks like you like life on your face. It makes a big difference. Same thing with if you're posting any content, there should be some kind of smile on your face. And I'll tell you that the first time I ever liked my smile and my picture was when John Meadows took it. He did some facial expression coaching. He had me put my head a certain way and had all the right screen, lights, lighting, and all that. And that's my profile picture now. And so make sure you put enough effort into your profile picture, because we absolutely take impressions away from it. Okay. The next thing is authentic content. I want to talk about that. Somebody said, how do you not post frivolous content all the time so people get sick of you? And I said, well, just the fact that you're calling it all frivolous means you don't have buy-in. You don't understand how, if we see pictures of you smiling and doing things that resonate with us, it's not frivolous. It's, relationship building. It's something that resonates with us. So it's like we just bumped into you and we've kept us caught up on what you're doing. You're not one of those I'm back people. And so, I want people to understand that the easiest way to build relationships, and build a brand, be known for something on LinkedIn, is a good mix of personal and professional content, right? Get rid of the LinkedIn police, just throw them right out. Anybody tries to LinkedIn police, say it's not appropriate for you, and you get them every once in a while, just say, well, then you're not appropriate for my network, and focus on the people that want to see you. And then the key is to share snapshots of your life. Get into the habit of capturing moments and sharing them in a way that will resonate with your audience. And those moments should not be anything that divides the country in half, right? So no politics, no religion, no scantily clad, no vaccinations, no Israel, Gaza, no Russia, Ukraine, no immigration, none of those. You're not changing minds on social media using that. All you're doing is basically removing half of the country potentially as clients, as sales partners, as hirers, like employers. I mean, there's a 50% chance that someone's going to hate it. And so what I'll tell people is to share those authentic moments that align with what you love and your passions. So if it's about your soldiers, your Marines, your sailors, your airmen, your guardians, or your coasties, I think it's called coasties. I don't think it is, but I think maybe it's sailors as well. But, share those moments that are you and celebrate your successes, your team successes, the mission successes, the visits to the great units you support, all of these things mixed in with a little bit on the personal side. Authentic, personal, again, non-confrontational is your Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, Korean barbecue, some sushi, like going for a run, cycling, exercise. It can't be all exercise. If it's all exercise, then I never think of you for a project manager or HR position. But it can't be all job advertisements, because then I never think of you, period, because you're just being salesy. There's a mix of personal and professional that you need to find and understand. It's not frivolous to take a selfie when you go to a cool restaurant. It's not frivolous to take a selfie with your team. And it's not frivolous to highlight, one of your soldiers that got promoted, or to show a restaurant you attended. Hopefully we're going to go to Korea next week. I was looking forward to sending a lot of posts there, because as an old Korean linguist, I'm ready for some amazing Korean barbecue. But the bureaucracy got in the way, and we have to work through the contracting process. So it may be a few more weeks, but I will be posting some frivolous photos of me eating a lot of amazing Korean barbecue and maybe drinking a little bit of soju while going out to support the airmen in Korea. Super excited about that trip. And then May 5th, I will be in the morning talking to DISA, and then in the afternoon, I fly down for Soft Week. So I'll be there the night of the 5th through the afternoon of the 7th. My engagement, I'm speaking on the afternoon, I think 2 to 3 p.m. One of the breakout sessions for Soft Week. I'm very excited. This will be my first Soft Week attendance, and I'm excited to talk to those special operations personnel about how they can better market themselves as job seeker, because a lot of the things that they will focus on, their abilities, are not exactly the things that employers are looking for. So we got to get them to figure out how to frame that. All right. So we've got a few more minutes here. Let's go into a couple of things I wanted to share. So first, let's talk about, well, I'll share it in a second. Let's talk about free premium. So the policies changed about 6 months ago. Service members get Active Guard Reserve, get free premium your entire career in 1 year block. So if you are in the military right now, you sign up for your free premium, you get a year. If it expires at the end of that year and you are out, you get a year as a veteran. If you're in, you just sign up again. You get another year and another year and another year until it expires and you're out. And then you get 1 year as a veteran. Military spouses get it every PCS and 6 months before separation. Veterans get it just 1 year when you're a veteran. Now, so we've got our free premium. What I want you to understand is how easy it is to go get it. So I'm going to see if I can do it this way. I'm going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to linkedin.com/military. And it's going to bring you to this page. And we're going to scroll on down. There you go. You click this, and that's how you can verify that you're active guard or reserve. 1 year blocks for your entire career free. And over here is how you do veterans. And over here is how you do military spouses. So that's linkedin.com/military. Now, the other thing, what you get with the free premium, which is really exciting, is if you look for a job and you have your premium, let's say I like this job, federal contracting and acquisition instructor. I am in no way, shape, or form qualified for this, but say I like it and think I am. Here's your your premium AI powered job assessment. If I click, am I a good fit? What's going to happen is LinkedIn is going to analyze all the information on my profile against the analysis of what's listed in the job description. And it's going to tell you in very nice terms, I match several of the requirements, leadership, strategic planning, program manager. However, there are areas where I could be enhanced. So I have engagement power, but it requires experience in federal contracting and a bachelor's degree, which I do have on there. So it's AI. But I don't list federal contracting, and highlighting any experience related to federal contractor obtaining a DAWIA level 2-3 certification could make my thing stronger, right? So that is that, am I a good fit? And then I could say, how could I best position myself? Clicking right here. Look at that. Boom. It tells you what to add to your resume, and you can even have them tailor your resume. So these are great resources from the AI tools. And then the other thing I like to share is since I just got out of a Mastering LinkedIn, is if I go over here to premium features, go down here to see all, down at the bottom is your interview prep tool. And so if you click the interview prep tool, it'll bring up the 24 most common interview questions, right? It'll bring up videos that you can check out that'll tell you how to answer the question. Trust me, the how tell me about yourself question should not start off with, well, back in 1993, I went to basic training. I completed basic training. If it starts there, you've lost already. It's supposed to be relevant to the topic and the person asking, right? But you can watch all these videos with your premium. And then here you can practice, and it actually lets you record a video and decide whether you keep it or not. And then the most important part is it lets you check the answers. So if I keep one, I can watch the video and see like, well, my lighting was off, my eyes were off. I said 47 times and it was a little long. But when I get one I like, I can just click, send it to someone in my network. And if I send it to Chris, he'll get a little thing down here with the link to my video. He can watch it, give me feedback, and it only takes a minute or two for him to engage. Watch this and give me some feedback. So that's the interview prep tool. Now, the last bit of tip that I want to give you, let's talk about the transition. This is something I'm really going to dive into on when I'm down at SOF Week, is how to translate your skills. I had a very, very senior E9 nominative level, so working at the general officer or flag officer level, post that they were looking for a job, and it was like management executive. And I asked them, I said, where have you seen that job anywhere? It doesn't make sense. And they were saying that they were trying to translate senior enlisted leader at the general officer level. And I said, you can't translate that. That job doesn't exist out here. You have to figure out what you want to do, job title wise, understand what people in that job do every day, and then look in your background for that experience, which I guarantee you'll be there. So whatever you pick, HR, security, operations, logistics, training and development, workforce management, project management, program management, and then your specific career fields. Like those are all in there. But you can't just, the title doesn't translate and the rank doesn't translate. You have to find you have to understand what they're looking for that job and then translate the experience in your background to fit that. Now, this is how it works. We can talk about looking at job descriptions like I showed you on LinkedIn. We can talk about looking at job descriptions and using this tool to translate to make sure that the words match the words. It's not sufficient because you're going to get caught into the I can do that trap. What I'm going to tell you is that you have to do informational interviews. So you got to pick a few fields that interest you and then start reaching out to veterans in that field and ask them to connect and maybe get some advice. Get to a phone call and learn what they actually do every day. And this is a conversation, not like, hey, I need to get a job. It's not like, here's my resume. Can you connect me to someone for a job? It's literally, I need to know what you do so I can decide if I want to do it. Where do you spend your time? Meetings, what kind of meetings? What are the deliverables? You go to visit the work sites. What are you doing at the work sites? Is there client engagement? Is there anything like that? So you need to do that. And then the other part of this, sorry, fixing my camera for the bottom down there. The other part of this is then you'd ask questions on, what are the biggest challenges? Why are they challenges? How are they trying to fix them? What are the biggest successes? What metrics are they tracking to show that they're successful or actually doing their job? What are their boss's priorities, right? If you ask this for 5 or 10 people in the similar job field, you got it. Not only do you know what they do, and if you want to do it, you've got all the keywords they're using, you've got how they count their numbers, you got their priorities, and you got the challenges. And you can find it in your background and highlight it on a resume in a way you'll never get by just doing it online. So the key is, this is the most powerful thing about LinkedIn. You could find people anywhere in the country, any company, any industry. You could find people you have something in common with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and just show you company searches first. So let's say I want to find people at Google. So I'm going to type in Google and I'm going to click on the company page. And then I'm going to come over here to the number of employees and I'm going to click that. And now I can add filters. So I want to find people that currently work at Google that are in, let's do Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. So now I'm down to 2,800 results. Now let's see if all filters, I'll see if any of them are Marines. Past company, right there. United States Marine Corps. There you go. 9 Marines currently working at Google here. So SecDef Executive Fellow, that's pretty cool. Google Public Sector Principal Architect at Google. Engineer, developer, head of research and discovery. So if you are a Marine in the DC area interested in working for Google, there are 9 people you could reach out to. I guarantee you at least 4 or 5 of them are going to say, yes, let's hop on a call, Marine. I'll give you advice all you want. So again, that's the company way of doing this. You could type any company. Let's do Amazon, right? So we're going to search for Amazon, go to the company page. Go to the company page, number of employees, and then I'm going to add the location. Let's do Montana. Let's stress ourselves a little bit. There's 101. All filters. Let's do past company, Army. One, Senior Intelligence Threat Advisor at Amazon Web Services. And so you could always just go into her profile. See, she was a captain in the Army and an aviator in 2015, and then actually went to the CIA and then went up to Amazon Web Services. She sounds pretty cool. You can go and you can connect. You can add a note and say, hi, Katie, noticed you're an Army veteran that found success at the CIA and Amazon. I'm an Army Sergeant Major getting out in the next 6 months. Would love to connect and maybe get some advice on my next steps. Best Mike. It's that simple. And so that's the way you can do it there. And then the last thing, because I'm going to tell you that there are thousands of huge companies out there that you've never heard of. One of our internships is with Datadog. That sounded like a silly name until I looked at how big they were, right? And they're amazing, and their people are amazing. And we've got interns getting ready to start there, but I never would have done it. Another one, Sergeant Major retired Chris Mills works at Sonepar. Never heard of him. No idea. $36 billion annual revenue. They provide all the electrical equipment to utility companies. Family-owned business. And so what I'll say is that you don't know all the business. So the last thing I would do is I would just do a naked search bar, and hit enter. You're going to click for people, right? And then you can add your filter. So let's say we are moving to Harrisburg, Greater Harrisburg area. So I'm going to show people in the Greater Harrisburg area. And let's say I want to find all filters, past company. Let's see any Air Force. United States Air Force. Boom. So there's 1,400 Air Force veterans there. And you can look around and see the different companies here. There's Military One Source, curriculum development. Here's a senior HR business partner at Amazon. And this is a great way to go through and click through people and see what their companies are. You can click on the company, like say, let's see what Mike does at Nakapuna Company. You can actually go to the company, click on that, look at that, over 1,000 employees, probably a few thousand employees there, and you never probably would have heard about them. So that's the advanced search piece on LinkedIn. You are limited by your effort, I think. And I think that's the limiting factor for everyone. How much effort are you putting into making yourself a best candidate? So get out there. My minimum number recommendations are basically, if you are outside a year, focus on setting up 1 to 2 informational interviews every week. So get a phone call or a coffee with someone, and they don't have to all be strangers. You can just, if you're in an organization and there's contractors there, ask them if they can grab some coffee and talk to you about their transition and what they do. So 1 to 2 a week when you're outside of a year. When you're inside a year, I'd say 2 to 3 from a week minimum, from 12 to 6 months. And then when you're within 6 months, I recommend easily 3 to 5 a week that you just need to schedule. And you could send 10 connection requests a day pretty easily and ask 10 people for a call, and at least 3, 4, 5 will likely say yes if you have a completed program. Completed profile. So with that, I'd like to close with a note about our partners at CNC Boiler. Our partners at CNC Boiler, a family-owned boiler business. They work and service commercial boilers throughout Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. They've got DoD Skill Bridge internships where they train you to be a service technician. It is hands-on training for people with technical aptitude. Starting salaries when you finish the training program starts at $65, but you get up to 6 figures pretty quick with experience. So if you are interested in CNC Boiler, please take a look at hiremilitary.us and let us know that you're interested in those roles. I've got a couple seconds. Let's see. We've got a Giants fan there, Theodore Travis. Thank you for Saquon Barkley. The most hopeful draft, rumors I heard, were that the Eagles are going to trade Dallas Goedert to the Giants for Kayvon Thibodeau. And I said nothing would make me happier. That guy's a beast. To have a remix, take Kayvon Thibodeau come to the Eagles and do 15-plus sacks this year. He had 11 as a rookie. That would be nuts if they traded him. So, and they're saying that would happen if they picked up the Penn State Abdul Carter in the draft. So we've got a Patriots fan. So like you had your run. We've got Andrew. Thank you. Fly Eagles fly. We've got Omi from Fredericksburg. Yep. Look at that. Thanks. We've got and then we've got a whole half photo. And we've got someone saying don't sleep on Amentum. Nobody was sleeping at all on Amentum. It is a good company, and it's a massive company, so people can check them out as well. So with that, I'd like to say thank you all. I will see you guys for Hot Jobs on Tuesday with Tara Soprano, and then I'll be back next week on Thursday with the next episode of Office Hours. Have a great day, everybody, and fly, Eagles, fly.